Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Pinehurst Palace just west of Orlando, Florida. I am in the Extreme Studios with RDV from the Great Midwest on the line with me tonight. We're covering the 1985 movie that nobody knows called The Heavenly Kid. This is a movie that came
Nobody
out roughly.
knows.
What's that?
Maybe today, maybe kids today don't know. There's a lot of stuff people don't
I
even
will
know.
tell you. I will tell you this about this movie, RDV. I haven't seen it since it came out in the summer of 1985 because it got overshadowed by like The Man with One Red Shoe, The Black Quadrant, and of course everybody's favorite, Back to the Future. So this is a movie about a guy who dies and has to come back as an angel to do a good deed to go back in. This is not exactly what you would call unique by any means,
It's
but
like a TV
interestingly
movie.
enough, it is a lighthearted movie, right?
It feels like a made-for-TV movie.
Kind
The
of,
way it's
sort
done.
of.
When it's done.
Not well received, even by people like me that would see a lot of stuff. There's a lot of movies like this that were out that nobody knows anything about or talks about. They were never referenced in more recent pop culture for people to go back. I mean, so it's interesting that we're doing this because this is a perfect example of an 80s movie nobody would go back and take a look at. What's your initial take on it, sir?
Honestly, it kind of fits in with the Kirk Cameron movies back in the 80s and stuff and all.
Meaning
It's wholesome. It
is wholesome in a way.
Yeah. In a sense, somebody described me. If James Dean came back to life and had to, this is James Dean, dies in a car crash, comes back, his assignment is basically to go to Jason Gedrick and take care of him, like teach him how, because the kid's being bullied, teach him how to stand up for himself, everything, and then finds out at the end that the kid's his son, and then has to go back and he finally figures out how to be not selfish, and it basically wants to sacrifice himself, his own soul, in order to basically save his son from committing the same stupid crap that he did. It's very generic, but again, like there's movies like this. There were also The Boy Who Could Fly was another movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense, when I think it was actually worse, but this actually had a good soundtrack, and that's one of the things I've come across.
Turner, baby.
Yeah.
Pre-Deep Purple.
Yep. Yeah. Rainbow.
Exactly. Very good, sir. +1 for you tonight.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's
Pre Malmsteen too, but who's keeping track?
Jolene Turner, Heartless. If that was not a hit in the 80s, those people need to be hit over the head because that's a really good song. I would take this over anything like Can't Buy Me Love. Sorry.
There was what I call the rich high school movies, which Can't Buy Me Love and some of the John Hughes films are. And then there's these average ones. Because I will tell you, the one thing that impressed me about this one is that a lot of it was filmed, in South Florida. And then other stuff was filmed in Atlanta. So it's a very low budget movie. I don't know if it even made its money back. Like I said, it's really hard to say. But it's just, you can say it's watered down. There's a heart in here somewhere. It's just, this needed a rewrite to me for it to be a very good film, if that makes sense. But it's not horrible, and it's hard to hate it. It's just there.
And the funny part about it is we get Jane Kaczmarek. If you don't know who that is, I was expecting Walter White to show up, and Malcolm in the Middle husband, because she is the mother in Malcolm in the Middle. So when I saw her I originally saw this movie. This was like second time watching it. I never watched it all the way through though. Right. But I remember it'd always be on TV. I come across on cable.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
So I'd watch it. I'm like, and yeah, it's the guy, the mom from Malcolm in the Middle. It's supposed to look the 60s. She's dating Lewis Smith. Who,
AKA Walter Goggins 1.0.
Well, I'll say AKA he's Stuckley from Southern Comfort. And so he ends up doing they'll start dating back in the 60s, and he's the greaser, he's the Fonz. Hey, don't worry about it. They're gonna play a game of chicken at Dead Man's Cliff.
That's
pretty much
right.
Very cliche.
RDV, when you're dating somebody and some guy besmirches your reputation by making a pass at your wholesome woman, the only thing to do is play a game of chicken to the death. I mean, I understand it completely.
Yes,
those are the rules men live by, and it's quite simple and effective. But the funny thing, because this is supposed to be a comedy and it's not very funny, is they're racing at night and all that. The guy jumps out and he goes to jump out of his car.
But his
bracelet happened to stick. Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It goes, and I love it, the explosions, because the cars, they're off the cliff. When they hit the ground, before they explode, you can see the line for the detonation.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Just blow the damn thing.
And both freaking races. It's more noticeable in the last one. Like, what's that red line attached to the car as it goes? And I'm like, oh, it's a freaking. I'm
wondering if this was shot in the because this was the other parts of the outside stuff like that was filmed in the Atlanta area. So I wonder if this is where The Walking Dead had that big cliff thing going on.
I don't know.
It reminded me of with the
zombies and stuff. Yeah, at the end you can see. Yeah, might have been. I was going to ask you when he was driving with the girls, they're in the Bel Air, the fancy, nice Bel Air, which was better than the crappy Camaro the kid was driving.
Oh, it was. But go ahead.
No, I like Camaros, but that was the ugly Camaro. No,
there were some ugly Camaros I've had.
Oh, give me like a '69 Camaro. That kid had like a '80s Camaro.
Oh, yeah. I know.
I was like,
what was your question about the ladies though?
So my question is, when we have Jason Gedrick in the car with the ladies, and all they're like, hey, can we get a ride home with you or whatever? And she's driving. I was wondering the scenery behind it, because when we watch Miami Vice, they always show they're driving downtown. You see all the shops, you see the cars, and it kind of reminded me of that. And I was just wondering, was that? Did you recognize it? Was any of that part of that Florida, or was that Atlanta?
I tried looking up some of the film locations. To me, it looked like Florida, because in a lot of the backgrounds there, you could see like the palm trees, and it was like North Miami area, maybe like Fort Lauderdale-ish. And so you can get a sea breeze there. So at night, you can see like in the background, like in the neighborhood that she grew up into, and they revisit, and even this house, you can kind of just see by the foliage there that it looks like it. And parts of Miami down there are got like an old look to it as well. And then when there's certain shots that make me think that it's there too. So that's I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought that's where it came from. They were shot too.
We also get the great Richard Mulligan in here too, playing Rafferty.
You can call him great.
Oh my God, he's the guy from Police Academy. He's also from Empty Nest, which I watched as a kid growing up.
And
I said he's also a late actor too. So people talk about Leslie Nielsen all the time, and whenever I think of Leslie Nielsen, I always get confused with Richard Mulligan, because they always look so freaking the same when I see both of them.
You mean nondescript middle-aged white guys?
Pretty much.
A amount of white hair.
Yeah. Honestly, again, I he was good as Rafferty. Rafferty basically when Louis Smith's character Bobby Fontana, when he wakes up, after the car crash, he's on a subway train. I love how they do everyone's on there, and they're heading to like wherever they need to go. They get to this like a subway terminal at the end of it. They all get off. There's just two guys in white, Angels, kind of directing traffic, and he's getting ready to go uptown, and they stop him, and they're like, "Okay, not you." Like, what? And then here comes Rafferty up Richard Mulligan on this Harley Davidson that clearly needs to be put out of service, because it is so backfiring horribly. There's no way that bike's running if it's backfiring that much.
Yeah, the problem with this none of this stuff is funny.
It's not meant to be funny in a sense. It's more like, what the heck? It's kind of like when you watch Scrooge. In a sense, you have the cabbie driver, Buster Poindexter, whatever. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. You're like, it's supposed to like, and he's afraid he's gonna hit him because the guy can barely ride in there. He's in a small little hallway, and he's like, get in the back, and he's like, no, I'm good. And so they go to this diner, and I love this scene, like, because like here's a guy who basically he's not used to being told no. He thinks he's gonna go back, whatever he wants to do, and he goes out of the bar, and each time he does it 3 times, he keeps winding up in the same bar, which is kind of like basically what they're saying was purgatory. They're all waiting.
It's a metaphysical
version of purgatory
system where you try to leave and you just end up where you started,
which I always love. I mean,
it did look good the way they shot it.
It's cliche because he keeps going on. He's like, "What the hell?" And then you really realize, "Oh man!" So then he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Want to go back and see Emily because he's still in love with Emily," but he's like, "No, you can't go back and see our thing." So he says, "In order to earn your way into heaven, we're gonna have you basically." He's gonna drop him off on Earth, and he's gonna go see this kid, Jason Gedrick, who's a total dweeb in this. But the one thing, the kid is such a dweeb, such an idiot. he has freaking Nancy Valen, who has the hots for him.
I want to comment on this because look, the storytelling is simple, right?
Yeah.
He dies playing chicken, trying to stick up for his woman. Okay, understand it. You can call that stupid or being a dumb young man. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So he gets a chance because he's not going to hell. And the only rule is you can reveal yourself to this guy. If you reveal yourself to anybody else, no bueno, no good, right? So your job is to go down there and basically learn to be his friend. And so he kind of doesn't get it at first because when he meets him, the guy's reading poetry and he falls down. He literally slips and catches him, introduces himself, walks off. And he's like, okay, I did my good deed. He's like, no. He's being bullied. You need to be there for him. And he's like, really? I got to do all this? So he's like, yeah. And then the whole thing about it is this guy that's the dweeb or whatever like that. I wanted to start off with being snarky with you, RDV, and say, it's about goddamn time we had an 80s movie that really focused and highlighted on the important things of teenage male bonding. And that wasn't necessarily pussy chasing so much as it was going to the mall and shopping for the ultimate outfit while an 80s soundtrack played in the background.
Yeah.
This one doesn't do any of that with women. But that happens in here because his job is basically turn him from a zero to a hero.
Yeah. And here's the thing, is like, it kind of makes sense, that this kid would just be, it turns out later on his real Gedrick is actually his son. Because no, I know. Well,
I did not see that coming. Did you?
If you didn't see that coming, I'd question everything about you.
So who's his mom?
His mom. Well, we'll get that first. We'll get that because But I want to point out him going after the blonde. At first, I'm like, why would you go after the blonde? She's not even that pretty. But then again, it's all about vanity.
They always made blondes. They always gave +2 to any blonde.
Yeah, whatever reason, and she's not that good looking. We got
the slut of the school.
What I love about this whole entire movie is you won't be able to make this kind of movie ever again. And they had to PC it up so much. We got him. We got Lewis Smith basically here. Bobby Fontana, because he's back on Earth. He's in high school. He's looking down teenage girls' shirts, looking at their boobs, and it's just anything he can to take a quick peek because it's been all these years and he's been stuck in purgatory. And I love what they explain about this. It's like in purgatory, even Rafford says even spirits have to drink and stuff, or eat and drink and stuff like that. So that was interesting.
We got to eat in here, because they're eating all that stuff.
Yeah, but anyway.
No, you're so right though. His friend, quote unquote, that's in love with him that he obviously can't tell because he's a stupid dweeb. Is a really cute woman. I thought they've got this wrong because they got the first girl as his friend. At
first, I thought this would be creepy. At first, and because because he obviously doesn't look like a teenager. The actor in real life was in his 20s.
No,
but in the story though, his character actually he's the same age as his son in this movie, and so he's supposed to be the same age. Because he died when same age same age that his son is now, and so anyway so he wants to go for the blonde. The kid's obsessed with it. He's so stupid, doesn't realize that he even has the Nancy Valen there who works with him at the burger thing. Because at first thing I thought was like, oh, this is like the cheap version of Better Off Dead, and pining for the blonde again, remember? And
I thought everybody looked really great in this movie, though. That's what 80s people look like in here. That's serious. You watch everybody in the background.
Freaking Max, the diner, freaking Max, the restaurant owner, the glass eye, Columbo is the first thing that popped my eye because I saw that eye. I was like, he's got a freaking glass eye. but honestly, it's like everyone's a jerk to him. Even his boss doesn't like him because he messes up the order, and that's justified. But when he gets tripped by the idiot and he spills the food and stuff on the girl that he likes, there's no way she's ever going to go well with again, even though he changed, because she humiliated her.
I agree.
And it's very serious. So there is some bad writing in this.
Absolutely.
But there is some kind of weird, TV charm to it, I'd say.
Here's the thing. This is so accessible and G-rated that you understand all the themes that are going on here at different levels. And so even when he undergoes his transformation and his friend who's a girl that's like, oh, I don't even know you anymore, kind of thing. And he chases the blonde and all that. And she's like, okay. And then he takes her out and she busts his cherry, literally. I mean, she takes him out to the makeout place or whatever. And she's like, yeah, you're pretty good for first time. Or don't worry, I've been with a lot of first timers. I'm like, okay. She's like, pick up after school tomorrow. Bye. It's like, okay. And so to me, I'm like, they got this completely wrong the way they're doing it. And obviously, what was interesting here, to me, honestly, second half of the premise of the movie, because all of a sudden, going from the second to third act, you've got the intro realizing, wait a minute, hey kid, I don't think this is the right woman for you, because he realizes as a guy, and this would be hard to admit, hey, he's banging the easy blonde, but he's like, no, this isn't working. This
She's
isn't
heartless,
right.
as he says. She's very cold around heart, and all.
So yeah, and it's so there's this kind of like he's a James Dean kind of guy that did something stupid. Now he's seeing it in this guy. So that that's heartwarming. But even the sex part to it so sanitized to it that it would not be offensive to like a 10-year-old. I mean,
well, this was kind of like, it was just before or after he realized that the kid's mom is his ex lover.
This all happened really soon because because he finds out that this loser is his son, and when he goes to the kid's house and he sees his mom, he realizes this is the lady of this love of my life. Yeah, and her husband is Niedermeyer.
Yeah. Yeah, and basically, he basically, after the kid kind of, they go out drinking after a guy, they get laid, he go upstairs, and then he realized, oh my gosh, like that's like, he realized that his mom is his old lover, like it's he doesn't know it as a kid yet, but it's kind of, they have a weird, they did something weird because, and it is very cliche, he's still not over Emily. And he sees that she married the prick, the weasel.
Niedermeyer.
Yes.
The twisted sister guy. What do you want to do with your life?
Like, yeah, no, right. Who basically was the one he raced again, and then this guy who chickened out bail. But after he died, he went after his girl, like a lowlife, and he's basically kind of, why would she marry you? And then And he goes and talks to her, and he finally breaks the rules. He appears to her because he realized he'd already asked for another assignment because he can't deal with this kid because the kid's got an attitude. I would nothing to do with him, And so now he basically appears to her. They have this like Len-less like kind of moment, stroll, hanging out together. He dances her because he never told like I apologize, because back in the day I was bullheaded. Yeah, I was whenever all those dances I never took you because I was too cool for school, And then there's the thing that really irritated me about this whole scene. They're in there dancing. He does the girl part. The hands are in the neck. She's got at his waist. What?
Yeah,
the heck? That was just so weird.
80s, it's weird because you look at 80s dancing, or like if you watch Soul Train or any shows back then, very timid to kind of what it is today. But then again, I just go, well, it goes from like, holding people at a certain distance across from you, not necessarily minimal amount of physical contact, right? And of course, the man would lead here, he's not. And then it was dancing, say, by yourself with somebody like in clubs to twerking. It's a very fast, quick drop, right? It's like going bankrupt, where you go bankrupt slowly, then immediately all at once. It was weird looking. Hey, I'm watching a greaser guy being led by a woman. Okay.
Would have been funny. Because like she'd like no, I don't understand you ever dance before. This is how we dance. That would have been hilarious if she would have just like took his hands and put him out of the waist, and then she does that instead. Like they should have done that. I don't know who thought that. Maybe they thought it'd be funny because of the fact that he said he's never danced or doesn't know how to dance. So maybe that's why. But I'm like, you have at least had to seen something, a movie or something where people dance or something. As a kid growing up, at a reception or something.
Well, back then you were taught to dance proper and not sexual at all. Seriously. And that was a common thing. You always had dances to go to, and that's how you would socialize. And then it was pretty much watered down by the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so basically after this, she finally reveals that Jason Gedrick is her son, and he hits him. What? I'm a dad. And then he basically like kisses her and puts her back in her bed, and then I thought he was gonna like wipe her memory, but apparently I
thought he was gonna have sex with her. No, I'm serious, because like he broke his bond, right? So he can't go to heaven supposedly.
He broke his rule,
right? And so all this sort of happens or whatever. Of course, it's gonna have a happy ending, sort of, kinda.
Yeah. So at the end of this, he basically Rafferty pulls him back, and they have to go. He goes back to purgatory. And he's all happy. He's pouring everybody beer out of the pitcher, and he's giving everybody a cigar. Rafferty's like, "You broke the rules." He's like, "You don't understand." He's like, Rafferty goes up, grab another drink because he's upset. This kid ends up basically being on the dead list because he gets challenged in real life, where Jason Gedrick gets challenged to same race, Dead Man's Cliff race.
Mm-hmm.
After he's trying to basically patch things over with Nancy Valen, basically he had noticed before in the diner, was with a chick before he left her, that she was crying, at the Max's Diner. So he feels bad for her. So basically he's trying to patch things up. And so kid's going to go on a race. And basically Lewis Smith basically says, hey, can Rafferty, I don't care. I need to go back. This isn't right. My kid shouldn't be on this list. I've got him in this situation. Let me get him out. And it just seems like the last minute we got the two dusters. They're going to drive off the cliff, and the same thing's playing out. He goes to Nancy. He's like, it's my honors on the line. I got to go. And I'm like, get in the car. Here comes his mom and the station wagon with
Niedermeyer in the station wagon.
And Todd and whatever her name is from Flanders.
Mm-hmm.
And literally they're like, no, not again. And they drive out the cliff. The same thing. The bully jump bails out of the car. He can't get out. I'm like, well, and I look. I'm like, I had to pause it, rewind it. I'm like, your freaking doorknob is like the lock is down. Pull it up. Like I know, right? Details.
It's so true.
Yeah, so he can't get out, and then he goes over the cliff. He's like, oh, and they see it crashes, and then next thing you know, they're like, oh my gosh, he's dead. No, he pulls the Indiana Jones 3 thing where he climbs up on the cliff. No one notices it at first, and then and I love this because they add more humor in it. He's like, you got Lewis Smith under him. He's like, dude, get your freaking foot on his face, and he pushes him up, and he climbs up, and then Nancy Ellen is like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And he just kisses her like that, and it's all happy dory, hunky dory at this, and kind of ends off with basically him eventually saying goodbye to his son, and never tells him that he's his dad whatsoever. The mom probably, I don't know, the mom maybe we don't know. We're just left to wonder, whatever. He ends up going back to this purgatory place, basically the railway where he was an escalator, and after he says he's like, dude, you earned your way into heaven, you earned your way into uptown. And this is one thing, they never say heaven.
Exactly.
They say uptown, even though it's called Heavenly Kid. I thought this, but they do mention hell because he thinks he's going to hell because he said, he broke the rules, I'll sacrifice my soul. And he says, he's like, because you did this, you're going to uptown. You earned,
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of ends with the what was it, Out on the Edge, Heavenly Kid by John Fiore performing it, and then it's just I was like, what? But it had some pretty good songs here. I mean, a lot of these are just kind of soundtrack only,
exactly, generic,
and there were track lists. They're basically like a cassette. I think it was a cassette or it was a record.
Cassette.
Yeah. It was a cassette's 85?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, God, yeah. 8-track.
I thought that was later. I thought that was 88.
No. Cassettes were even 60s and 70s, bro.
But
the records dominated.
So two of the big songs in here, Out of the Edge is actually a really good song. But the other one I like, you said, is because you have Joe Lid Turner.
Joe Lid Turner, guys, if you know 80s music at all, and this is a subset because pop music is what most people remember from the 80s, but Yngwie Malmsteen, my favorite guitarist, so I always pop from him and try to reference him. He only had one hit that went in the top 40, and was Joe Lynn Turner singing. It was called Heaven Tonight. It was very poppy. Yeah. So if you hear Yngwie, he's like Vivaldi on steroids or whatever like that. He's like more kind of guy and all that, two double bass sort of thing and all that. And he still does stuff today, just phenomenal stuff. But Joe Lynn Turner's just got a great, tenor type voice singing with her. He's certainly no baritone, right?
It's kind of it's pop rock what he sings, kind of
exactly. And he's a very good pop singer, great voice, great intonation. He's a great frontman, always has been. I've seen him in several shows. He definitely still has the goods even today. Some don't. He's one that does.
Trying to think who's the guy who left Kiss to go do it for a Night of the Comet song.
That's Ace Frehley. That was their guitar.
Ace Frehley. Yeah, Ace Frehley was the other.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I argue
is the song you're thinking of.
Yeah,
and Back in the New York Groove.
Yeah, Ace really had a couple hits by himself, solo career.
Yep.
But that's what I mean though. It's Joe Lynn Turner and is someone I never would have known unless I was looking it up. Because I don't really follow Deep Purple and stuff, but I know who they are.
Yeah. Right.
And I've heard Rainbow, which was this kind of the spinoff brand. It's also people from Dio, wasn't it?
Dio went into Rainbow at some point.
Yeah.
And even from Deep Purple, there was Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, opening scene. I'm walking it through my head, too, because the guy's got a very powerful voice, but he would dress up in a suit and tie when he would sing, and they didn't like that, so they kicked him out. He ended up in Alcatraz, which had Steve Vai, but then he went to David Lee Roth. And what's the...
So they apparently they had
Since You've Been Gone guy. That's a really famous pop song there too.
Richie Blackmore established it after Deep Purple. He even had a couple people from Deep Purple, but then they he had members from the rock band called Elf. The singer Ronnie James. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. So, yeah. Honestly, like I that's one thing I like about a lot of these '80s movies.
Cramp on it. Sorry, that's it. Just getting that.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, a lot of these movies, basically, the soundtracks are just amazing. Except you can have a dud movie like that. And I'm not insulting, like saying, oh, a dud, but I'm saying it wasn't like a big hit, blockbuster hit, but it had good songs in it, though.
Yeah.
Like, when I think of, like, She's Heartless, it reminds me of, like, She's Out of Control, The Tubes, Don't Fall in Love. Because they're all same themes. Like, basically, hey, she's one in a million girls. That was. It seemed like the theme was like a lot of jilted like ex-male lovers.
So here's the thing about the '80s that I want to give props to this movie about, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it. It is wholesome, which is fine. There was a subset of '80s movies that were a bit more popular because the thing with John Hughes and his films, which is really what I'm talking about here, even though like you say anything and some others, Can't Buy Me Love are out there. Yeah. It's all that teenage angst of trying to find yourself and growing into the adult world. And it just seemed like a bunch of rich, namby-pamby kids were the only ones that would suffer that. It never really looked at like the people that weren't necessarily made for college at the time would go through. And that's why when we reviewed a few weeks ago River's Edge, I said, hey, they went through it too. They already just knew what it was way ahead of time, and that was just dark. So in the 80s, there was a sense of, hey, let's just focus on that kind of stuff. This movie is a bit more wholesome. It focuses on basically doing the right thing, whether religion's involved or not. It's not a heavily religious movie, even though to your point, they kind of mask it up here a bit. But I tell you, in the 80s, they wanted all the sweet, light, saccharine kind of stuff without going too deep and everything. And that's not bad, but even then, it was just kind of like, come on, man, give me something.
I gotta ask you though, what do you think of the lunchroom scene? Did that look authentic to you?
Absolutely, it looked like it. You look at the hair that they had back there. You have some of the girls have, sometimes it's called like the Pat Benatar cut there, and sometimes shaved on one side. The way they dressed and all that. From what I they basically had the drama kids at the high school they filmed it at just basically there as extras, like for super cheap filming. So hey, they wore what they wore, and that was authentic. It's just in the 80s though, they wanted all the pop stuff was all relationship stuff because everybody was about going out and having fun in relationships, but it was always the whiny ass guy songs about girls that got away with it, and ones that were more hard rock and roll were more sex oriented, we were like Whitesnake and stuff too, right? Like Journey was a jazz band for fuck's sake with a baritone guy doing keyboards, Gregory, until they got Steve Perry and said, hey, instead of selling to 100 people in a jazz club, we sell to 100,000 in the stadium as long as we got this pretty boy Steve Perry singing. And he's an excellent singer. It's just like a totally different type of music. So there were some hardcore people that were fans of bands in the 70s that said, oh, you sold out in the 80s. And then some that did it really quick, like Metallica, and you're like, oh, I hate these guys. So there's always these debates in the 80s about music and selling out to the simple pop stuff. So
the high school was scenes were filmed at North Miami Senior High School in North Miami, Florida. You're talking about how it was Georgia and Florida. Well, the scene where the subway scenes, including the opening scenes where Bobby dies, were filmed in the MARTA system in Atlanta, Georgia. And some say most of it was shot in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I mean that's why it kind of looks the same. Some of the movies are on the day. You also had the guy who wrote this also wrote a movie called Paradise Hotel. You remember this at all? 85, same year.
I'd have to look at it and see it. Maybe
Robert Krantz was in it. Jonah Leigh Stack and Gary Hirschberger.
Those are all like BC names.
I know, right? Is the film debut of J.J. Cohen, whoever that is. But it looks, it looks like it's just like kind of like those movies like Stuck on You, Going All the Way, Summer School Teacher, same thing. So that's the guy who basically wrote and directed this. He basically wrote a lot of B, kind of like he was like the Andy Sedaris, stuff like that.
You know what? They made money.
Yeah,
they were popular at their time. They were catching a trend, and for
example, is the same thing.
But that's so lighthearted, and we haven't even touched all the like Canadian and American, like what we call sex comedies,
Summer School,
raunchy, all that kind of stuff.
Ski School,
Summer Rental. I mean, just we haven't done all that. And I'm not saying they're all great movies, but there was just so many of them, and they were all out, right? So what are you going to go see? If you've got The Heavenly Kid or The Man with One Red Shoe, you're going to go see The Man with One Red Shoe.
I've never heard of The Man with One Red Shoe. Is that Is that Tom Hanks?
God, is it? That's Let me pull that up right now, sir. Since you're asking, we do this real time here on the Extreme Movie Show.
Yeah.
One Red Shoe.
I've only heard of the Tom Hanks ones, the Genius Were guy.
Yes, and Dabney Coleman.
Okay, I saw that once, and it's okay. I'd rather watch Real Geniuses with Val Kilmer.
I understand.
Yeah,
I get it.
But like you said, but even then, I think of that I think Real Geniuses, and you look like The Man with One Red Shoe. Those movies feel no much different than this. You could say, like you say, they might have a bigger budget, but they kind of felt like, hey, this is a made-for-TV Disney movie. Watch this on the Disney Channel.
It makes for like when you had HBO or Cinemax or whatever, all these kind of B movies would show. You would catch them all because there was no other option.
Do you know what I was shocked about this movie? The fact that they had Jason Gedrick's ass. They show naked in this movie. I was like, what the heck was that all about? They didn't show one boobie, but I had to see his freaking naked ass.
Well, there's MAGA, there's MEGA, Make Indians Great Again, like the Redskins and the Cleveland Indians and all that. There's got to be one about making the male ass great again, coming back to movies. No homo.
It was just so random because this isn't a Stallone movie. This isn't like a thing. It's like it's a kids movie almost in a sense. Not kids like 10-year-olds, but it was like a teen comedy. I understand maybe they think it's hilarious, but like. I don't think Jason Gedrick was pop. Actually, no, was in the 80s. He did Iron Eagle and then this.
No, but this was a no-name dude.
Yeah,
he's Walter Goggins light. He's Tom Cruise, Junior. I mean, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I'm talking about Jason Gedrick. I'm not talking about C. Lewis.
No, he's like one punch away from being the guy from the Bad News Bears ended up being Freddy. I mean, he's that kind of a guy with the face. He's a punchable face. He's not a likable kind of guy. He's a dweeb. He deserved to get bullied being a wuss ass. The only mildly amusing thing he did was when he went to get in the fight when the Angel couldn't support him when they're out there by his car and they refused to take no for an answer to get in the fight. He takes the gigantic, thick, dense book, and I know that because we had those back in high school. Yeah. And he hits the one guy with it, and he looks at it, it's the complete works of William Shakespeare. And he goes, "Thanks, Will. That was kind of funny."
Yeah. But overall, though, it's like these bullies, like, let's do a dead man's race. I'm like, dude, he's convertible. The kid leaves the top down. You can mess with it if you wanted to. There's no freaking cameras. The other problems I had with this movie is the fact that he doesn't have a freaking license. How is he driving?
Because he has a set of car keys.
Because the Angel gave it to him. Some guy named Bobby. But I love that when he first meets him, he's like, stranger danger, get away from me.
I think I'll finish kind of with this.
Yeah.
I do think that, like I said, the lightheartedness to it does remind you of what it was like to just go out and have fun with the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he went out with a girl that was intrigued by him because now this guy was different. Whatever. He genuinely liked her. I mean, he wasn't necessarily ass chasing.
Sure.
Like he did. And every guy can sympathize with that. So they go out. She takes them to the spot at night. No, they have sex in the steamy car bouncing up and down. You don't see it or like that. That's every guy's like goal when you're that age. It's
you know what I kept thinking of? Christine.
Christine was much better.
I know, but I mean, in the car thing, I'm just thinking like it's like.
With the car being jealous.
Yeah, that would have been. Where's the riff tracks? I want to see like the spoof on this, where it's like the car Christine comes after. That would have been hilarious because that Scary Movie does makes fun of all the current movies like back in the 2000s. But I would have had them like that would have also have some like in the back in the 80s making fun of this. Like Christine's like, oh yeah. This was okay. Like I said, it's a rom-com, basic movie. You see in one, you see them all. One has a bigger budget, maybe one has different actors, but it's always the same. The kid wants to win the heart of the girl that he thinks he later likes because she's popular and stuff. Then realizes, oh my gosh, that's not the girl for me.
I had it all here in front of me the entire time. Damn it, I couldn't possibly see it.
But though, that's freaking realistic though. I knew people like that.
Well, that's true. And the other thing too, it's interesting because to your point, you do not see this now because it's always like a gay friend or you have your DEI checklist
Oh
now
my
in movies
gosh.
with high school. Back then, I'm not saying you had friends that were girls and you hung out with
So,
them, but you just hadn't. You might have hung out in groups together, or like you see him driving around in the car and some
dude,
girls he meets, joins, where that stuff
when,
would happen all the time. But
dude,
the fact that he couldn't tell that she was interested in is like dweeb city.
I could see where this could be, like I said, a spoof comedy. Because when he's like, they're looking in the hood, he's like, "Yo, this is a 6 or V8. It's both." He's like, I was expecting the kid like, "What the fuck?" It's like because they randomly threw the black kid in there. I was just randomly. I was like, "What was the point of this?" Like was they meant to be like the stereotypical thing? Like, "Oh, that shit's whack," like Scary Movie would always make fun of. Yeah,
You had a lot. You've pointed out a little bit with guns in movies, more when we do action, just kind of
yeah.
having fun with it. But one thing that I'm not I've had a lot of muscle cars back in the day. I don't really have one now, but right now it's embarrassing because cars are not a thing anymore.
Well, yeah.
And they certainly can't be a character in the movie. Columbo, yeah, you referenced early. He had a certain kind of car in his movie, right? We talk Bullet. He's got a special car in the movie. So cars were a cool thing, just like libraries, man caves, Scotch dens, the way you would dress and stuff like that. All the stuff started going away in the 80s, man. But in the 80s in high school, we would have so many different kinds of cars, especially Japanese cars.
Yeah.
We'd have sports cars, old cars. Mustangs were huge back then because you could get them cheap, 65, 67, 70, whatever, and they would still run and you could work on them. So there were still a lot of motorheads and gearheads. And even one of the two bullies in there, even though he looks like a prep guy, I think his book says like Introduction to like mechanics or something like that, or wood shop or whatever it was. I noticed that and I was like, yeah, that was pretty realistic at the time. So you don't have that diversity now today. I mean, it was a little sad.
So here's the thing. Remember we talked about like, oh, it's the same. Oh, so it's the same kind of people. Where does Nancy Valen go to? Loverboy. Who with Patrick Dempsey? That was our next role. Then she had a small role opposite Kirk Cameron in Listen to Me.
Which, yeah, I haven't even seen that. I don't think. If I watch that again, I'd be like, man.
And then she guest starred in an episode of Saved by the Bell as a brand new nurse at Bayside. They called Jennifer. And as I said, before they had, it was funny because she replaced Kathy Ireland on that show as a character. That was kind of weird. Like, really? Kathy Ireland, supermodel? But Nancy Valen is still hot these days. I mean, but I was just like, what? And then, yeah, so she's been like on, dude, she's guest starred on, like, I'm looking at her list. She was in on stuff like Hardball. She was on CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, Friends, Spin City, Boy Meets World, Full House, Charles in Charge, Miami Vice, Silk Stalking, and Murder, She Wrote.
Silk Stockings, baby.
I know, right? Yeah. It's, like I said, she was, but she was Verso was in Porky's Revenge. What same year is this?
Oh,
Then she went into this. This is her second movie, her second appearance. Well, but you know where most people know her from? Baywatch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's we've got Forever Night superfan Kevin Dobson in chat, right? And he's looking forward to season 2, and that was one of the earlier shows we did. And I used to joke because I think that was one of the first or second show that I did with the young 20-something Professor Pixel. And I never watched Buffy. I watched the movie. I didn't know what it was about. And I used to always say the master, and Niedermeyer is the master. So I'm like, there you go. There's a Buffy connection for you going into the 90s.
I think Pixel's getting close to 28 years old. Like he might be
he's up there. Young 20-something. And
Dalton is turning 30.
Well, I thought he'd be bigger. So I'm just, we have.
That's phrasing. I don't even know.
That's from the 80s. Final thoughts, sir? Anything you need to plug?
Final thoughts.
We have Tuesday lined up, I believe.
Final thoughts is actually a pretty good movie. For being what it is. Like I said, it's still a made-for-TV movie. If you're expecting like something really like awesome, it depends on what you like. But overall, though, I thought this, did a decent job. I'm looking forward to basically probably finding myself a copy of this. It's one movie I've never really went and collected. They did release this on vinyl, soundtrack on vinyl, which ironically, if you read up about that, 2 of the tracks were fucked up, so they had to recall everything.
Yeah,
immediately as it came out. But it's available on cassette, so you can get the soundtrack cassette. But it's also, as of 2013, and since on they brought it onto iTunes. If you're looking for the soundtrack, you can find it. I found like half the songs, all these movies I found. Internet Archive is a lot of uploaded tracks, soundtracks.
Yeah, the Internet Archive movie quality is the same that I see on YouTube, but it's shit quality. Go to Tubi.
Yeah, but this Tuesday, Manhunter, we're taking over the channel.
That's a good one, guys. That's the original one here. This one right here. Bam.
Before Anthony Hopkins was known for Silence of the Lambs, there was Manhunter.
That's and correct. Michael Mann, Miami Vice.
Yeah, so looking forward to this on Tuesday. With that being said, I hope you guys like this review. Kevin, it's great seeing you as always here. And Anthony, what's up, bro? If you guys have never if you never watched before, it's available on Tubi. So is Manhunter. There's a lot of cool movies on Tubi right now. They're free to watch. And if you're outside the country, and just use a VPN. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, we haven't covered
unless you're in the UK. Good luck with that.
Well, we haven't covered a lot of 90s in the sense that, there's a lot of them we haven't touched, but we have not even done the serial killer craze of the 90s. But it all starts here with Manhunter. So I like the fact that we're hitting this one first before Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, well, we gotta go into cheerleader or whatever party, whatever it is. There's a lot of them. I was looking up. There's a lot of cheerleaders being butchered in a lot of slasher movies.
Absolutely, and women in prison, bro. Get it right. That's the 80s for you. That's the kind we like to talk about.
Cheerleaders in prison. There you go. That's what I want. All right.
The Party Massacre we did too, though. That's a good one.
Oh,
good night, everybody.
We did Night School. Was even better. Phoebe Cates, right?
It was not too shabby, sir.
Oh, but it was a lot of stabby in a merry-go-round. All right, guys. If you guys haven't done so, please hit that like button, and subscribe if you haven't done that. Hit the notification bell and check out. Comment section down below if you can. After we're done here, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of the movie. If you have any other movie suggestions that you think that we should review that we've done on the channel, please do that. Leave it there, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday for Manhunter at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Good night now.
Later, guys.